Hey, it's Chronologically Gaming, the only channel that's perpetually retro because we're playing every video game in order of release, presenting to you the very best video games, the very worst video games, and everything in between. Welcome everyone to 1981. We're now playing all the video games we couldn't find a definite release date for in alphabetical order. We last left off with football for the Bally Astrocade. We saw in Electronic Games, they said this was the best sports game or best football game. I couldn't remember, but I agree, it is the best football game we played to this point. Best sports game is kind of a stretch, but it is a very good game. Let's move forward and see what our next game is. No surprise, we're in alphabetical order. So our next game is football for the TI-99 home computer. Let's take a look at football and see how it compares to Bally Astrocades, starting with the front of the box. Like most Texas Instrument boxes, it looks like we're buying software and not a game. Solid state command module. Exciting color action and fun for 2 players. You pick the plays, call the defense, snap the ball. The computer actually simulates the game based on professional football statistics. Every game is different and challenging. And there's the example of the cartridge which will be popping in to play football. Let's see what it's like. Pop it in and play football for the TI-99, released at some point in this was actually at some point in 1980, I believe. All right, so here we go. We want to play some football. Oh, S79 is the copyright. I believe it was released in 80. So this is another one of those games we're trying to get the stragglers of the ones we've forgotten from before. So apologies for all the TI-99 fans out there. I didn't even know Texas Instruments had a computer before I did the channel, but here we are. All right, so how do we play this football? Okay, length of each quarter in minutes. I guess we'll say 5 minutes. And then player 1, what is your team's name? Okay, let's go Packers for the first team and against the 49ers. Packers versus the 49ers. It's time for the coin toss. Call the toss 49ers, heads or tails. We'll say heads. 49ers won the toss. Will you receive or kick? Always. I don't know anyone that would want to kick. So 49ers are going to receive, and looks like we press any key to start. So we've seen the TI-99 have a really cool joystick. Well, if you put it in your hand, it's kind of similar to the Coco or the Magnavox Odyssey. It's a kind of a pinpoint joystick on top. So it's not the best joystick, but the fact that it had a lot of joystick play is pretty cool. Not as amazing as the Atari home computer. That one using the Atari joystick, I say, is still one of the best, but it's great to have games with joystick. So I'm using the joystick now, and nothing's responding, so this may be only keyboard control. Okay, so it looks like we have regular, or on sides, I'm going to push 1 for regular, and then G for go. Let's go, kickoff. Totally different than we saw in Bally Astrocade. Look at this, it's helmets are the players. Better than X's and O's, but we saw actual sprites, very tiny sprites on the Bally Astrocade just last episode. So as far as graphics, Bally Astrocade still has it there. It is better than the X's and O's we saw in the 70s for the Atari home, or the Atari arcade game. All right, so this is where we pick plays, I believe. Let's see. See. And then, I called a timeout on accident. We'll do go. Okay, so select the play you want, and then if we do. Oh, okay, you can scroll through different plays, and then for the play you want, I think you push. Actually, we don't know because we don't have a manual. It didn't say in the beginning. I think it was in the beginning of the game, it gave us a little instruction of what to do, but for all I know, I don't have the command to execute the play. Well, for football for the TI-99, I didn't want to play too much because it's not really the game that you would expect to play in 1981. And what I mean is, it's trying to blend the programmable text-based football game that we've seen from SSI, and also the graphics of something you'd expect from Atari or an arcade game. So this game is, you don't have direct control of the players. You pretty much make the play and then it executes. So you don't have a lot of control on the field, unlike Bally Astrocade. So we'll just do that little taste of football for the TI-99 4A. And I want to give it, for the time in 1981, this would still be very average for what you'd see, considering everything else. So it's not pushing anything new. It has better than X's and O's graphics, but not something that really would push it beyond the average range. So that's football for the TI-99. After a couple of football games, let's see where we're going next. Our next game is The Forgotten Island on the Atari home computer. And this one, I believe, is going to be re-released next year as Escape from Vulcan's Isle, if that one sounds more familiar. This one's the first iteration of it that was released in 1981. And this is all we got is a screenshot. No box for this one. I believe it came in a Ziploc baggie, which imagine a time when video games on computer were released in Ziploc bags. Crazy. Okay, here we go. This is The Forgotten Island. And this is by Crystal. So we saw this in Fantasy 2041 AD. Crystal computer video games have been trying to push what video games can be, especially when we saw Fantasyland. So let's see if Forgotten Island's anything like that. Oh, it even looks the same. Similar interface as Fantasy 2041. Okay, so let's do new game. This is by Mark Benioff. Way to go, Mark. Crystal presents The Forgotten Island. Even sold a couple copies. Uh-oh. Don't tell Scott Adams. So for the Ziploc baggies, I never experienced that world of computer gaming. But I am familiar with all the copying that happened and distributing discs. Okay, so we're in the game. This is The Forgotten Island, and it says a Harris is very close. So we're playing on the Atari home computer. I don't know what a Harris is, but I plugged the joystick in. We have an Atari joystick, and I can move. Yes. So I'm freely moving around as a player on the screen. Let's see what happens if I push the red button on the Atari control joystick. You pushed the red button. I don't know what it did. It just tells me I pushed the red button. So that's kind of funny. It's like the game's aware that we're playing on an Atari joystick with the one button. But we're on the island. Looks like I can walk over trees or bushes in different places. But check it out. I have an 8-way movement of this. I'm moving diagonally too. And I'm just walking around this island, the Forgotten Island, and it's scrolling the screen as I move. So that already is very, very impressive for the time. I have no idea what a Harris is. A Harris is coming. Whatever it is, it's got to be something worse than a Gru, right? Are you going to dig? I don't know. Was I going to dig? Oh, see, I tried to push the only button, and it didn't work. Or it just says, you pushed the red button. So I don't know what that means. That Harris is somewhere around here. So let's try a different... we didn't have a manual for this one either, so there's probably different keyboard commands we could use. Uh-oh. Did we freeze? We have music. Wait. Your status. Okay, day 12, goal 5, power 119. Interesting. And the Harris is still close by. Can we move this way? Is we're going to go... Oh, it goes dark. Okay, so we go in the cave, and it's like the cave is... Is this how we sleep? Yeah, it brings us back when we come out of the cave. Oh, no, there it is. There's the Harris. I don't know what to do. You're attacking the Harris. Your hit points are 8. The Harris hit points are 22. What is the Harris? I have no idea. Do you wish to attack or flee? Oh, okay. So now we've come in contact with a Harris, one of the enemies, and we push A to attack, push the red button to attack. Okay, I can actually push the red button, and it attacks, and now push the red button to calculate. Okay, let's see, am I losing? Is this the battle happening right now? Oh no, it's like rolling a dice. We're rolling the dice right now. So I push the button, and it's going to calculate if I either lose hit points or the Harris loses hit points. Ready? So I lose 7, they lose 18. Okay, so we got a kind of a good luck roll there, but that's it. We're rolling the dice. Wow, you smashed him. We've never seen a game mechanic like that. It's mixing almost role-playing mechanics. All right, the Harris is attacking. Pretty cool sound effects from 1981, too. Your hit points are 1. The Harris hit points are 4. That is not good. If we only won, then we probably should flee, right? Okay, so let's hit F to flee. It says we got away. We played role-playing games and adventure games, and they've had different elements, very similar elements of... Oh, the Harris is coming after us. So we fled, and now we're back at what looks like a ship on the edge. So we've seen different ways of attacking in role-playing games, you know, turn-based. This one is a different approach. It blends something we saw... Oh, a volcano? Okay. Thanks for the label. It blends the rolling a dice like Dungeons and Dragons, and then it also is giving you use with the Atari joystick. You actually push a button. This is the most impressive part of the game, though. I'm exploring a world that's not a text adventure game, and while it's scrolling jerkily in 1981, this is incredible. I'd like to know how I make my character stronger or better, or I have to find different things. So we didn't have a manual, so I don't know the commands for everything in the game. But I am very intrigued to play a game like this. This top-down view, it gives me kind of like the like Legend of Zelda vibes, which we're not going to see until way later in the 80s. But this is so cool to be able to move around, scroll the screen, and we're not programming in a text parser what we need to do. It's actually, I'm actually moving around. Oh yeah, we have a village here too. Oh, and they say welcome. The Harris is very close. Here it comes. Can I leave the house? Okay, so all they do is say welcome when I move around the village. It even though this was by Mark Benioff, it looks really similar to John Bell's, like, graphically and the scrolling of the screen, John Bell's Fantasy 2041. So I wonder if it's the similar engine that they used for this one. Don't know for sure, but I get the vibes from it. All right, so I want to know the commands. I want to know how you play more, and I want to play more of The Forgotten Island. Don't forget The Forgotten Island. So for all the games we played up to this point, for a computer game, it's up there with like Fantasyland with the presentation, but it doesn't really have a lot of content as much as what we saw before. But it's hard to tell because we didn't get a manual for it. But it's still an above-average game. I'm going to go 3.5 stars for The Forgotten Island. It is better than the other ones we've seen. Yeah, I don't know what's a Harris, but it was attacking me. And we have to take it out, apparently, in The Forgotten Island. All right, so that's 3.5 stars, an above-average game for 1981. And with that, let's press forward and see what our next release is. Oh, we're still on the Atari home computer, and this is Frazzle. Razzle dazzle frazzle. What do we got for artwork? We only have the 5 1/4 floppy disk, the Computer Consultants, Iowa. And man, it looks like another possibly homebrew. Homebrew really doesn't exist yet, but we don't really have a way of describing it in 1981 of someone sitting down at a computer writing something and then going to a software company and selling it. But this is it. So let's see what Frazzle's all about. We have no other information except that screenshot. Published by the Computer Consultants of Iowa at some point in 1981 for the Atari home computer. There we go, Frazzle. Let's see, I give the address of where it is, and sometime in 1981, but we have the Atari personal computer, the disk drive you need to use, and then the joystick, which we got plugged in. All right, so push an S to run Frazzle. We are in the dark ages of video games, and there could be anything and everything happening. So right off the bat, it starts with skill level, and then I push the only button on my Atari joystick, and it works, and I'm in. So I'm moving the joystick around, I'm moving the cursor around. And if you touch the walls, you die in a very exploded fashion. Okay, so press fire for a new game, skill level, and then press fire. The sound effects, I don't know what's going on with the sound in the background. It sounds like it's like just random computer noise. Especially when I move the cursor too. It's just making random noise when I move the cursor around. But all I'm doing is, I'm moving the cursor. This is very difficult to explain. The Atari joystick is digital. And the cursor that I'm moving feels like I'm moving something analog. Like it's moving with a little bit of inertia. Like I have some physics involved. And then I move it across the line. Do I win? Wait, was that... Wait, no way. I thought I made it to the end. So I'm just moving the cursor around to the... Oh, you have to slip it through that gate on the end? Oh my gosh. Okay, so if anyone's aware of this game, there's a game called Irritating Stick that is released on, I think, first on PlayStation 1. And this game is giving me those kind of vibes of you have to carefully move an object through different things. But you can see I'm trying to make it barely get to the edge. Oh my gosh, I don't think I can get it. It's meant to be like a precision style game, but I don't know what they were going for. It's very weird controls. I don't really want to say bad. It's just very different. To have a digital joystick, and you're using the digital joystick that if you move it in the direction, you increase speed. Your cursor goes faster and faster. That is bizarre. All right, so that was Frazzle. We could go a little bit longer, but we don't need to. For everything we've seen up to this point, I'm still going to give that one in the range of it's bad. Sound-wise and graphic-wise, it's not doing anything special. It's trying to do something different with the controls, but it doesn't really execute it well. So Frazzle, we'll give 2 stars. The best of the bad on the Atari home computer. So with that, let's press forward and see what our next game is. Yes, we're in the arcade. And this is Frog and Spiders. They had a really big fascination with frogs. In 1980, we had just frogs, and then we had Frogbog, I believe, and then we had Frogger, and then now we have Frog and Spiders. And, of course, Frogger got really popular, and we had lots of games copying that formula. So let's check out Frog and Spiders and see what it's about. Starting with the artwork, here's our advertisement flyer. Yes, by Taito. Frog and Spiders. The latest release by Taito. Oh, we have the back of the flyer. Are you tired of space games, attack and destroy games? Looking for a lighthearted, delightful, and challenging break? It's now available in Taito's new, full-color 1 or 2-player Frog and Spiders video game. This game is sure to appeal to all, and give you lots of money, because this was advertising to the operators of the arcade. With play features like the control lever, fire button, and jump button, maneuver your frog in a position to shoot attacking spiders in their webs, shoot them once to knock them down, twice to kill them, but watch out for the deadly snake who slithers on the screen to bite you. Hop over the snake and eat a spider to earn extra points, but don't hop into bees on your way up, or you'll lose a frog. The game gets progressively more difficult as the player becomes more adept, and that would be the description of every arcade game. The frog forced to hop from leaf to leaf to avoid the spider and bee attacks. So play instructions, put coins in, select the player, move the frog horizontally and hit spiders. Higher scoring if you attack the spiders by one of the top single vertical column. You get bonus points protecting butterflies, dragonflies. So they're taking the shooter formula, I guess, and just putting a frog in there. That's what it looks like to me. So for controls, we got jump and attack, and then moving around. And there's our arcade marquee. Frog and Spiders. What are the versions we have? Several bootleg versions and Galaxian hardware versions. Let's play the original in Japan at some point in 1981. Here's Frog and Spiders in the arcade by Taito. What's it about? What's it like? All right, let's see what the attract mode has for us. If we're in Japan, I'm trying to think of the other games that would be available. They always had the newer ones, because when Donkey Kong was released, it still wasn't worldwide until a little bit later. And the same with Frogger and the other ones. When they first released in Japan, they didn't go worldwide until months later. So this one, if you were in the arcade in Japan and you saw Frog and Spiders, how big would it stand out compared to the other ones? All right, so let's put a coin in and push start. Playing some Frog and Spiders. And I got the vibes of Space Invaders. At least the way... Uh-oh, I smashed into the bees right off the bat. Oh, no. All right, so you move left and right to fire. I have... Oh, my gosh. A snake on the bottom. But I have a jump button and a shoot button. The spiders look like they're following the formula of Space Invaders. But then they've added the web to have the spiders slowly move down. So it's the same shooter formula, but it's refreshing to not be in space and play like a space shooter, like they were saying. And then I have that other mechanic. The bottom section is a platform, and I can move across and jump. To say it's a platform game, though, nah, I wouldn't call it that. It's more of a gimmick. The main draw is shooter. Kind of like Donkey Kong 3. Whenever you play it, it's there's platforms in Donkey Kong 3, but it's mainly the shooter as the main gimmick. All right, let's put another coin in and push start. How much money will Frog and Spiders take away from me? All right, let's be smart this time. Very well animated spiders. In the top, how they swing left and right. That's pretty impressive. This time, I'm not going to shoot the beehive. That was a big mistake. All right, let's jump. No, and the squirrel hit me with an acorn. I thought the squirrels were on my side because they're on the top. Oh no, and the squirrel can hit the bee. Oh my gosh, so they can make all these things happen. And it's like the bees are following the formula of Galaxian. So we have a mix of Space Invaders and Galaxian happening at the same time, which is kind of cool. We've seen games that are exactly like Space Invaders or games exactly like Galaxian, but blending them together is pretty cool. Oh, game over already. It's a tricky game, and it's meant to be for the players who played lots of shooters, and they're really good at those, and they want to try something else or a challenge. Yeah, there's only one platform here, and Donkey Kong 3, you know, had, what is it, 4 platforms? All right, let's put another coin in and push start. They set up the premise with the spider in the middle with the web, and then you can see the patterns of enemies we've seen for shooters keep changing and evolving. And this one's very unique, taking I know you're not shooting ships, but as the spiders come down, they use the spider web. And that's cool seeing that format. And then we have, of course, oh my gosh, yeah, the bees fly across. Now, I'm putting myself in 1981, and if you didn't have anything else at the time, it's the kind of shooter that plays so well that you want to see and play longer. So it's doing that to me as I play. It's a very, very well done game. So well done, Taito. All right, so let's zoom this in, get away from the border, and let's get a better view of the screen for the last round. So last coin in, and one player. Last shot of Frog and Spiders in the arcade. Let's go to Japan and play the latest Taito game. This is another one of those releases that I wish we could pin down on when it came out. In 81, Space Invaders clones and Galaxian clones are all over the place, but it's pretty cool seeing this mix the two together and then have the patterns of enemies. Oh man, I can't believe I got out of that one. Maybe the zoom in helped, and I can see better now. Can I keep blowing up the beehive, or it just angers the bees and they go all over the place? Oh my gosh, I didn't think he was going to do that pattern. Okay. All right, we got to take him out. That's it. There we go. The other thing I like to know about these kind of games is the single screen games. I want to know if they switch it up, or if it just continues this formula. So let's see. After we finish that round, oh, nice. Looks like we have a boss. See, this is what I love. I love in 1981 getting a game that gives you something, a game where you can see more and more, and you want to keep playing and get better. And because of how well this is programmed, oh no, the squirrel did it that time. Also, Taito did a really good job giving us some invincibility frames, so you don't die immediately when you hop back in. I don't know if I'm supposed to go for the spider in the middle. It's not giving me an indication like I'm supposed to go for it or not. The other thing, too, is I don't have anything to jump. Oh, right when I said that, then the snake shows up, so I do have something to jump. Oh, didn't make it past that time. So that was 2 screens, and again, like we play these in the arcade, they're meant to be quick Twitch shooter games, and you don't really get the full experience unless you play and see all of them. Whenever we played Donkey Kong, we didn't see every screen of Donkey Kong, but we knew there was more, and I do not know if after these 2 screens there's any more after that. But that is all the taste we'll get for Frog and Spiders. It is a game I want to play more. Is it one of the best games you could play in 1981? I would say no. It is very good, though. We've seen games that have better design and better creativity behind them, but it's still an excellent game. So we're still going to go 4 stars for Frog and Spiders of all the games we played in 1981. All right, with that, let's see what's next after Frog and Spiders. We're still in the arcades, and this is Funky Fish. Don't know about Funky Fish, but it looks like we're going back to Japan to play some Funky Fish. Let's take a look at the artwork, starting with the advertisement flyer. Hey, deep sea monster, I'm going to eat you up, okay? Is he funky? Right, I'm big, I'm big. Is there supposed to be a song involved? It sounds like it is. No way, so this is by Sun Electronics Corporation. Sun Electronics got their start copying Space Invaders. They made a Space Invaders clone, just like Nintendo did, one of their first releases. And then they also did a game called Stratovox, which was the first game we had with talking. And this is a company that's going to eventually change their name, and it's going to be Sunsoft. So this is the beginning of Sunsoft, an exceptional game developer. Another new type of game, shooting, swallowing, and sucking. Don't know if you should advertise that, Sun Electronics, but okay, you do you. So for Funky Fish, we can move all around, possibly 4-way joystick. Nope, 8-way joystick, and fire. And there you go. That's Funky Fish in a nutshell. Let's go to the arcades and play some Funky Fish by Sun Electronics at some point in 1981. So we are in Japan, still in Japan, playing some arcade games. So for Funky Fish, oh, nice. It's horizontally scrolling, but it is not automatically scrolling. And it's Oh man, so the look of this reminds me of a game called I'm trying to think of it off the top of my head. It's 1981, so it is the year of horizontally scrolling games, but it's allowing us to go back and forth, kind of like Defender. Obviously, not with the graphic fidelity, but the game is like a cuter version of a shooter. So there's a really popular cute 'em up that was called Twinbee. There we go. And so this is reminding me of like an early cute 'em up style game. It's not going for the war theme or something like realistic. It's supposed to be fun. So that's pretty cool. That's what Funky Fish has going for it. All right, let's put a coin in. We got a Diddy, but I thought it was going to be funky. Like maybe some bass in there. All right, so let's push start on one player. All right, so round one. Oh, we got a cutscene too. It shows us shoot this, get cherries. Okay, got it. Oh, nice. Okay, so this is... Am I getting points for those? Oh, it's so cool. So at the top of the screen, it also has the radar too. And they float down, so it makes you feel like you're underwater. But check out the sound effect for the shot. It sounds so familiar to me playing all the video games I have, but it's the first time I've heard that kind of sound effect ever on the channel. So it's like the a quintessential video game sound that I can't pinpoint where I've heard it first, but here on the channel is the first time we've heard it. So Funky Fish, that shot sound sounds really familiar. Oh, the cherries turned back. Okay. So we have fuel. I don't know why we have fuel. We didn't get a manual for this one, right? Is there a manual? No, no manual for this one. Okay, so I was like, wait a second, there's fuel? Can I go in the fuel? Oh, okay, I had to run over that part. And then I have enemies that I can kill, and then go for the cherries here. Nice. Yeah, this is like a cute 'em up based on Defender with the radar at the top. And be able to go left and right. And I don't think we had any other... No, so they simplified it with the controls. All we had was one button. There's nothing else I'm using. That's all we can do for firing. And then I do need to find fuel. Did I lose this one? Oh, it went away. Okay. So let's see if it wraps around to the other side. It does not. So it doesn't wrap around like Defender. I went to the edge of the map. Now we'll come back to the left. So Funky... Uh-oh. That's not good. I bet that's like Evil Otto. It's going to just destroy me, right? And fuel is almost out, so this doesn't look good. It's my first time! I've never played Funky Fish before. Alright, so fuel goes up after we die, and now we can make our way to this side, collect all the cherries, and I bet when we finish them off, there's another one, and then there it is, fuel. Nice, so you just run over and touch it, and they just stay there until you fill up on fuel. Now we're on round 2. So round 2, same... Change up the fruit. Nice. Alright, so when we started this year, we got a lot of side-scrolling games, which is more difficult to program than vertical-scrolling games. Because you have to race that beam on the CRT monitor. So this game is taking the formula like Defender and Super Cobra, but rather than going through levels or auto-scrolling like in Super Cobra and Scramble, this one is staying in the same place. Just like, I'm not thinking Pop and Twinbee, but the one with Opa Opa. It's that style of game, but way earlier than... I didn't know this one existed, making this cute up style or in a Defender fashion. All right, so let's put another coin in. There's that Diddy again. Yeah, it does. The menu sound is where we possibly could place it. But that shot sound, man, it sounds iconic. Like, I should have heard it already, but this is the first time we've heard that on the channel. Right there. Yeah, love it. And it feels satisfying to move around and shoot. Yeah, they've nailed the sound effects, though. Really, really cool. I'm surprised we don't have any talking after Stratovox that Sun Electronics did. Oh, I can't believe it. We do get this skeletal structure of the fish after we die. There we go, and then we get fuel that we can use there, and then move on to the next one. Tear them up. Nice. Got it. And then that opens up the fuel there. Nice. Okay, so we're getting the pattern. We get how Funky Fish works. We're funky enough for Funky Fish. Now, there has to be people that know about this game. I'm surprised I've never heard of this. This is a game that people should know about because it is a cute-em-up way before people even knew what cute-em-ups were. It is an adorable shooter back in 1981 in the arcade. Granted, we are in Japan. I don't know when this arrived in North America, or if it even if it did. But we're going to go all over the world, and we're going to see every game here on Chronologically Gaming. Can I get a piece of this one? Oh, no, that was way too fast. I think when they're near the bottom, they turn back from cherries into the enemies. Or whatever you want to call that. Is that a sponge or something? Alright, going again. Fuel. Nice. And then, is that the last? Yeah, there we go. And then we're on to round 2. And then it repeats with different enemies, different things to eat. You turn enemies into strawberries now instead of cherries. Yeah, this is loads of fun to play. And for a video game historian who's not particularly good at difficult games like Defender, this is really refreshing to play this. Not to dog on Defender, though. Defender is amazing. Oh, and see, now we got enemies that are blocking our path. The seahorses come in. So, while we don't play these games as long to get a full sense of everything in the game, every screen, every enemy, and so forth, we do want to play enough to see some differences between everything else we've seen up to this point. Because we're taking a capsule of the time at this point in 1981. Right now we're playing everything in alphabetical order, because we couldn't find the release date for them, but we're still being able to see in 1981 what all they had, and comparing it to everything else we've seen so far, to get a really good context of all the games. And this one is perfect for 1981. It's amazing. All right, so I'm going to go one more time with Funky Fish to see if I can get to the next screen just in case, and because it's just really fun. It's got the ditty in the beginning, it's got the music, and think of all the other... I almost said AAA. Think of all the amazing 5-star games we've seen in 1981, like Donkey Kong Frogger, Galaga, and when you compare those other games to this, its presentation is still really, really good, and it has play mechanics that are similar to like Defender, but it's doing something that looks a little different. The only thing it doesn't have that we've seen with arcade games is it doesn't really draw you in to see like a new world. You know that the next course you're going to get is going to be the same style. It's the same location you're going to look at. You're not going to go to a different game mechanic like docking a ship or adding power-ups. So this one looks like we're still keeping the same. The Funky Fish that's what you got. A fish that moves around and shoots, and he doesn't change. There's no transforming fish like we saw with the Eliminator game. Or upgrades, which has been a really cool feature for video games in 1981. Oh man, now that was a little cheap, that one. Oh, I see. They have to do a little circle around first, and then you can shoot them. Okay. And then grab a little fuel there. Why is this fish running on fossil fuels? I don't know. Then we have another one there, and I think that's it. Round 1. The game is also repeating itself. If I have a $20 in coins, I can't just keep playing and go further and further in the game. It is doing the age-old trope of arcade games, which is you can if you have the skill, you can continue to play and see more and more rounds. But just because you have a lot of money doesn't mean you're going to get any farther in the game. It didn't save my spot, in other words. I guess that's why you turn on free play with the dip switches in the back of the arcade cabinet. Alright, so yeah, because of the scrolling, this one pushes it up a notch for me. And considering all the other games we've played up to this point, taking the Defender formula, turning into a cute-em-up is great. Is it the very, very best of all the video games we've played up to this point? That's debatable. It is very good. It is up there. Definitely 4 stars for all the video games up to this point. Does it push itself all the way to be as high as Frogger? Probably because it's not as iconic. We can't do that. But I will say 4.5 stars. Funky Fish is one of the best games you can play, but it's not maxed out. It's not up there to the same level as the other things we've seen, but it's high. An excellent arcade game. Funky Fish, 4.5 stars. And with that, let's see what our next game is. Wow, still in the arcades. Okay, lots of arcades. All right, the next game we have is Future Flash. What is Future Flash? Another one I've not heard of. We're down here in the stragglers of 1981. Who knows what we're going to get? And there we go. Our advertisement flyer is amazing. Future Flash, realistic space atmosphere with the Arctic constellations for background. Be amazed by the powerful, realistic battle scenes. That looks like a mix of Planet of the Apes and Battlestar Galactica. They kind of blended 2 worlds together. So this is by Hoei, which we've seen, I think, 2 other releases besides this one. Let's see what they bring to the table. There's our arcade cabinet for Future Flash. Maybe the title's so generic that people didn't think about it or hear about it before. Whoa, that control panel looks rusted. And it also looks filthy. Right above my head, that's a trackball. So we have a fire button and a trackball for Future Flash. At least that's what the controls look like. And then that's just screenshots. So never heard of this one. Well, we have a manual, though. Let's see what the manual is for Future Flash. The service manual. Yes, there we go. Table of contents say, how do you play this game? That's what we want to know. So we start with breeze by specifications, operational instructions, how to install. We don't need to know that. How do you play the game? First, you insert a coin, turn the right-hand ball to adjust the sight. Okay, it uses a crosshair at the enemy missile, and by pressing the fire button to destroy the enemy, you can score points. Once the fire button's been pressed, the psi mark remains at the same position even when the sight has been moved. Your missile will reach the position flying to destroy the enemy missile. Oh, it's like they're describing missile command. So you move the cursor around the screen with the trackball. When all the enemy missiles have been destroyed, the game proceeds to the next round. All your fighters are destroyed, and then there's our scoring. How do you get extra players? Got to know that. And then for extra games, they always have a way you can modify that with the dip switches in the back. So there's our scoring points and the enemies. Graphics of the enemies really don't look impressive here. But game instructions, the enemy mothership does not drop a bomb at the ordinary round 1 alone. The enemy missile runs away off a cloud appearing with your missile is exploded. The enemy missile runs, I don't know if that's technical or not. It's not explaining the game very well. The pattern of the surface of the Earth changes every 4 rounds, so that's interesting. There are 8 patterns of their surface and 4 kinds of fighter planes for the friendly force. Another thing this manual doesn't have that we get from the Atari manuals, which, have you noticed that we haven't seen a lot of Atari arcade games in the end of 1981? Like right now, all these games are the more obscure games that we couldn't find definite release dates for. But the Atari manual gives what's the coolest technology or what's the newest technology. So I don't think this one, we don't know for sure, has anything that they're bringing to the table that's brand new. At least from what I can see. Okay, so we'll skip all that, and it looks like, no, we don't want to do any troubleshooting on our arcade cabinet. We want to play Future Flash. So here we go, we're in the arcade. Check it out, Future Flash, released at some point in 1981 by Hoei. So we're again in Japan. Another Japanese release. You are the elite guard soldiers. Take your weapons and must defend the planet. Just like in Missile Command. And I want to back out because I want to play this a different way. Since we got trackball controls, we're going to play it right here. We've got lots of different emulators at our arsenal, so we can play this the best. Here we go, yes. Put a coin in the slot and we will reveal a vast, unlimited universe. Push the start button and an exciting game world will reveal in front of you. That's pretty cool. Nice opening. Also, for all my technical graphics fans out there, take a look at the graphics. Look at the colors on this system, and look at the color depth, specifically the ground below. This game is doing something with raster graphics that very few games have done up to this point. Only a few I can think of, like Crazy Climber, could have this kind of. I wonder what kind of arcade board this is on. We're also getting a tapping sound in the background. I don't know what that is. Wow! And then it's going on to this scene with. This is all in the attractive one. I'm not playing the game yet. But I'm going to push the start button and an exciting game world will open for you. All right, let's put a coin in. Ooh, and push start. 1 player, here we go. Let's play. nice. The soundboard has some arpeggios, it sounded like. Alright, so I don't have control over different missile silos like in Missile Command. I'm just pushing fire. I'm just saying, go! Oh, we lost one. Darn. Alright, so first round made it through, but yeah, it plays just like Missile Command. Trackball and all. Move it around, push fire. You don't need to push a specific place. You just fire away. And from what I can see... Oh, I see. The bottom of the screen is showing me how many resources I have left to fire. But man, this is fast. Wow. Yeah. It is like Missile Command on steroids. Future Flash is intense. Yeah, only one shift left. With games like this, I have to remind myself, we can go behind the arcade machine and change the dip switches up a little bit. Wow. Yeah, look how much firepower is coming after me. You have to be on your toes. Wow. We have another one too. Oh man, they're not even done. Then we have the UFO over the top. The UFO is dropping tiny, tiny missiles. And sound and music is all over the place. Like, the sound effects... Doesn't it sound like just random computer garble? It almost sounds like when people say, people that aren't video game fans, and you tell them what the arcade sounds like, this is what they would say. Just a bunch of random noises. Maybe it's the best way to attract people to arcades in Japan, if the game sounds like this. But I will say the way it looks, the amount of colors on the screen is very impressive for 1981. Alright, let's put a coin in the slot and reveal a vast universe. Pretty sure we're not going to get past to see another planet at the bottom, just because of how difficult this is. You play enough shooters and you will get better, I guess. Let's just go nuts with the fire button then. Oh, they still were able to... Oh, I thought they'd sneak past, but it looks like they didn't. Wow, you gotta be so quick, though. That is intense. I should have warned viewers, if the game's called Future Flash, I thought we were going to have flashing lights, but it looks like so far it is not. They've been kind to us. We've had lots of games that are not the best for people sensitive to flashing lights, and... No! Two of them got past. Yeah, it is non-stop sounds coming from the arcade cabinet. In 1981, would that draw you in if it was Japan? I would think the music, like from Frogger, or any, like Fantasy, those kind of games, that would be the bit bigger draw than just a bunch of random noises. But I mean, look at this. Oh, out of ammo. This isn't good. Yep, I'm already done. Did I live? No, I think you gotta take him out still. It's gonna blow me up. There it is. Oh yeah, good point. They said that in the manual about the star field in the background. We actually have constellations. I saw the Big Dipper and I believe Orion back there. All right, last go with Future Flash. Yeah, there they are. So the star field is using the motif we saw in like Moon Cresta and Galaxian, the colored star field. But a cool idea of making constellations. Nothing is scrolling though on the screen. We're a static screen, really pushing graphics for color in one spot. Now, I'm going probably way too heavy on the shot in the very bottom. That's like the amount of ammo you have left. Okay, it worked that time. We'll see how much we can survive the next round. There we go. Get them all. That's it. Oh, man. See, this is coming so fast. Wow. Oh, my gosh. Okay, second round. We have to make it through 4 to see a new planet. You have to practice a lot to get that one. Okay, there we go. The control, though, is fantastic. If anyone's played Missile Command or loves Missile Command, using the trackball or the cursor control is awesome. Imagine a world before people were using mice on home computers. That's where we are. But we are controlling a cursor in video games, which is nice. All right, that was Future Flash. Of all the games we played up to this point, it is awesome. It is definitely above average, an excellent game. Is it one of the best games you could play at the time? Future Flash is high, but not to the point that it's going to be the best of the best that you could play. I would say the music maybe brings it down a little bit, but having that cursor control moving around and the amount of color they put on the screen is awesome. Because there's no scrolling, I'm going to still say it's an excellent game, a 4-star game, not enough to push in like the best game you could play of all the other games we played. So 4 stars for Future Flash. Incredible. All right, so with that, let's see where we're going next. Who knows? We're on the Atari home computer, and this is G.F.S. Sorceress. Let's check it out and dive in. Starting with the box. Yes, we have a box because we're on the home computer. This is by Microcomputer Games, division of Avalon Hill, and they really upped the marketing. Look at the box front. I don't even know what's going on here. We got some crazy-looking space guy, a space girl, an alien crab, and then a spaceship that looks like it's from 2001: A Space Odyssey. But if you saw the other releases by Avalon Hill and Microcomputer, it was pretty boring. Well, they were doing more of a strategy style game or a historical game. So G.F.S. Sorceress looks like they're going full on future in the future. Continuing saga of Joe Justin aboard the G.F.S. Sorceress. And it's on cassette. Looks like cassette or disc. And they have a story and lore on the back of the box of what's happening with Joe Justin. Almost like they're doing it as a comic strip, maybe? So I wonder what the presentation of the game is going to be once we dive in. So that's the cassette version. We'll hopefully play on the disc version. And then any other images we have for this? Nope, just the cassette tape. And you can see, as usual, you have every version of almost every version of home computer. The Atari, the Apple II, and the TRS-80. You can use it all on the same disc. So really cool way when they talk about porting games, just make the one disc work for all these computers. It's awesome. All right, let's pop it in and play. This is G.F.S. Sorceress, released at some point in 1981 for your Atari home computer. Please hold the applause until the game actually loads. And then when the game loads, still don't applaud, because you never know what's going to happen on home computers. I can't even call them PCs, because at this point, the PC is so new that calling something a personal computer isn't accurate. If we're in England, we call them micros or microcomputers. You are floating in space. You see stars and a faint ion trail. You're wearing a spacesuit. You are carrying nothing special. Oh, okay, it's a text adventure game. All right, look trail. Let's guess and see. Oh, it worked. You see a faintly glowing ion trail vanishing into the distance. If one went that way, one would be in a different place. You're floating in space. You see stars and a faint ion trail. Okay, so it redid everything. Why did it retype everything? Because that's going to be a little tedious to play a text adventure game that way. Okay, so using our mini commands we've used before, let's try go trail. Does go trail work? It works. Okay, the trail continues for many thousands of kilometers. There's a starship ahead. The trail ends at the stern of the starship. You are on the hull of the starship. Near the stern, you see stars, a faint ion trail, a starship hull, red stripe, a warp engine, a large meteor. Get engine. It's not possible to do that to a warp engine. Hey, but it understood. This whole redrawing, we've seen other text adventure games that go a lot faster. So that would wear out its welcome quickly. But you're wearing a spacesuit. Lose spacesuit. Can you lose it? Please. Oh, and see, you have to it redraws the whole thing all over again. So if you type something wrong, you have to wait. That's not good. Not for a text adventure game. No way. Oh, I have not. Meltdown 54. If it's a mainframe computer, we are not playing mainframe systems. We're playing everything that is arcade, home computer, console, handheld, and we're even doing some type-in games from magazines, but we started in 1970, and we're playing everything in order of release. So we're currently in 1981, and so we'll eventually get to the different consoles, handhelds, and computers and so forth, but oh, early network computer. I don't know for sure. I want to look into that, though. The NAS NABU computer? Yeah, of all the research I've done to get the channel to this point, I'd love to know more. So I'll check it out. All right, so for text adventure games, this was G.F.S. Sorceress. I would say for all the other games we played up to this point, with text adventure games and any adventure games, the longer you play, it's a bigger story, and so the more you can get out of it. The way this was presented, though, I'm going to say it is bad. It is a 2-star game considering everything else we played up to this point. And of course, we could play longer and see what the story goes and what happens. But for now, we'll just say it's 2 stars. G.F.S. Sorceress, 2 stars. It is bad. And let's move on to our next game. After that, we're checking out another game for the Atari home computer. This is Galactic Chase. Let's see what Galactic Chase is all about. Starting with the box. Yes, by Spectrum Computers. Aliens have swept undefeated across the galaxy. You are an enterprising starship captain, the final defender of space. As aliens attack, you launch a deadly barrage of missiles. Flankers swoop down in your position, maneuvering to avoid the counterattack. You disintegrate their ships with your magnetic repellers. As your ship improves, or as your skill improves, the attackers increase their speed, and as a last resort, the aliens use their invisible ray to slow the speed of your missile launcher. Galactic Chase provides Atari owners the most challenging 1- or 2-player game in the galaxy. Really? And that's it, as far as artwork goes. Oh, thanks, Meltdown54. Yeah, I'll have to check it out. All right, so let's take a look at any other versions. Oh, man, lots of different versions. We'll be playing on cassette and disc. Looks like we just have alternate ones that we'll play on. So this is Galactic Chase on the Atari home computer, released at some point in 1981. As we continue our trek, finishing all the other releases in 1981 in alphabetical order. The ones we couldn't find definite release dates for. Oh, it loads. We got it. All right, so Galactic Chase. Nice opening. For at least initial... Oh, and we're getting Star Trek vibes, at least from the radar in the center. All right, so we got our Atari joystick plugged in. Let's push the red button. Anything? Oh, no, it pushed start on the... It worked. Okay, so pushing start on your computer works. So we're in. And, oh my gosh, it is a exceptional Galaxian clone. Now, we have seen Galaga released in 81. We haven't seen anyone try to copy Galaga yet. And I guess the only way we'd be able to determine if this is Galaga or not is if one of the ships at the top tries to take over or beam me in. But we'll see what happens. Pretty sure that's too early because Galaga was in Japan when we played the release, and it's not really known worldwide. This is North America for this release. But this plays so well. They even have a Starfield flickering in the background. Not as good, obviously, as the arcade, but still gets the job done. Plays really well, though. Really good. Yeah, so the way it's playing, I'm going to still guess Galaxian. Yeah, it looks great. Plays really good, too. And sound effects are very good for the Atari 800. Which, that's what we're playing on. We shelled out more money. We're not playing on the Atari 400. After playing the game Frog and Spiders in the arcade, you can tell the play control is better in the arcade. It's another game that uses this formula, like Space Invaders, of enemies moving slowly across the screen. But for the Atari home computer, this still is really good. We played some other really good releases on the Atari home computer that allowed for 2 people at once. But wait a second, the box said 2 players. I wonder if they have a different game mode. Do we have a manual for this one? No. No manual for this one. Okay. Well, just in case, let's plug another controller in. Let's have 2 controllers plugged in, and let's see if we can switch up the game modes. Okay, now we're playing 2. So I got 1 controller plugged in on the left port and another one on the right port. And we just reset, so we're starting over from the beginning. Let's do a death. They give us 2 scores at the bottom, and I wonder if it's going to just do alternate play. Is anyone going to come at me? None of these enemies are coming at me right now. I'm just playing Space Invaders. Okay, there we go. Now we're playing Galaxian. All right, let's come at me and die. And then does the second player take over on the second controller? It does. Okay, so it's two-player, but it's alternating play. So I'm now controlling them with the other joystick. And it works to play with two people, but not simultaneous. The best games, and I mean the best of the best, that we gave 5 stars for were like Asteroids, 4-player simultaneous Asteroids for the Atari home computer, or Space Invaders, multiplayer Space Invaders, where you can do cooperative play. Those are amazing. And this is an evening where I don't have a guest on to play 2-player games with, but every now and then when I do a game by myself, I would love to have a guest play some of these 2-player games, because that would be the things that push them over the edge of the best games that you could play at the time. All right, then we switch back. Player 1 gets a shot at it next. And pretty much that is the full experience, and it just repeats getting more and more difficult ad nauseum. All right, that was Galactic Chase. Of all the games we played up to this point, it is it's above average. This is not the same of releases we've seen on other home computers, and the rating system is always going to be, if you're down here, this is our broken range. Is the game broken? You just ask yourself that question. And then if it's in the 2-star range, is the game bad? So your discretion, what would you say? Is the game bad? And we always base it on the time. It's 1981. We're not thinking of any other games. And then this is our range for average. This is our range for good games. And then this range is the best video game you could play up to this point. So it is a very good game. It is above average. Is it one of the best? No, I wouldn't say that. It is an exceptional game, though. So we'll say 3.5 stars for Galactic Chase. An excellent game you could play on your Atari home computer. All right, and with that, we've reached the end of our evening. This time, we're going to put pause on playing all the games, but we got so many to play, so many more games to go through. We are in 1981, and this is all the releases we couldn't pin down, so we're going to play the rest in alphabetical order. But I'm really excited for 1982. Been working on that for a long time, and it's going to be still a while in 1981 before we get to 1982, but when we do, it's going to be big. So with that, we will see you next time. Lots more games to play. Have a fond farewell. Hey everybody, thanks for checking out the channel and joining me on my quest to play every single video game in order of release. We'll be streaming live every weekday at 9 p.m. Central, so join us and let us know if we miss any games along the way. This video would not be possible without RetroArch and Launchbox. Please tell your friends there's some crazy guy out there trying to play every single video game. You can always check out Chronologically Gaming on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. Chronologically Gaming is the name to look for. We will catch you next time.